Hey dudes, just wanted to give a quick trigger warning, because I talk about some, pretty heavy topics sometimes. Self-harm, suicide attempts, sexual abuse, physical, verbal, the whole shebang. There's been murder in my family as well. So, yeah, just be prepared. Just for anything. I'm sorry. But I understand if you click off. Gotta protect yourself, protect your own peace. Bye, dudes. Hey, dudes. Just wanted to say a couple things while I'm feeling pretty positive. Life has a lot of challenges, has its ups and downs, and not everything feels easy sometimes. Sometimes it feels like the world is ending, even though all that's happened is plans changed, or I got an unexpected bill. Even if I can pay it, it gives me so much anxiety. It makes just everything harder. It makes everything harder, and I don't understand why. Today feels different. Today's one of the days that it doesn't seem like anything bothers me, which is pretty cool. My cats are in good health. We're financially stable, not at risk of being evicted, which is a really good feeling, because growing up, things weren't always stable. When it came to households, live in a place for like a year or so, get comfortable, meet some people maybe, and then get evicted for some reason, or we just pack up and move. Dad doesn't explain why. Dad, and happened way too often to be able to count. I have no idea how many times we packed up and moved. I lived with family members, lived with his friends, lived with strangers, people that I'd never met before. My parents split up and got back together, and split up and got back together. So I got tossed from home to home. Mostly lived with my mom, and the one and only time that I lived with my dad, just with my dad and not living with my mom, visiting dad, but living with dad and visiting mom occasionally, he kicked me out. I told my mom something that I didn't know was a secret, because I'm a kid, a teenager, whatever, and you wouldn't expect that you're not supposed to tell your mom something, especially something that I don't know, I thought was super obvious. In a few months when a certain thing doesn't happen, then, it's gonna be fucking obvious. It's gonna be very obvious that, anyway, told my mom something I guess I shouldn't have. She offered her condolences, and he blew up and kicked me and my brother out. Kicked us out to go live with my mom, who didn't have her own place. She was living with somebody else. And my mom was doing her best to just keep us fed and keep us going to school while we lived with her there. Eventually they got back together, because that's just how it went. We'd struggle for a little bit, then they'd get back together. There'd be a lot of fighting, a lot of really strict rules, and being grounded and yelled at and lectured, and you name it. My things destroyed, my things gone through, my privacy invaded, my personal space invaded. Yeah, it wasn't fun growing up, honestly. I think I was happy until I was probably 8 or 9, I think. Yeah, we were living in the woods, off and on, as my parents got back together and split up. My dad had a place in the woods, and it was really cool. We had a pond, we were raising some chickens, we had a dog. It was really nice. But when they split up, we went to live with a different family member, and one of those family members sexually abused me. Now, my parents believed me, but not everybody in the family did. It caused a lot of discourse, and sent him to jail, the family member, of course. He died a few years ago. I still don't feel better. Don't feel good about destroying the family. I don't feel good that I was sexualized as a child. I don't feel good about putting my parents through that. I know, I'm not supposed to blame myself. It's not my fault. I was a child. But after that, the world just seemed different. And a few years later, my little brother died. Drowned in a swimming accident. My parents split up immediately afterwards, almost. Dad goes out to do whatever. Mom's drinking a little bit, trying to find comfort in family and friends. Then they get back together again. I understand, I suppose, to an extent. They lost a child together. That can't be easy. There was a lot of blame, a lot of fighting at this time. after this, I don't know, everything fell apart. You know, my grandma got even sicker. She wasn't around to babysit anymore. That was around when I became free childcare, essentially. Grandma's too sick to babysit. Both my parents are preoccupied with battling their own demons and attempting to go to work. You know, they had jobs off and on throughout my childhood, different places here and there. Half the time working, half the time, I don't know, just home a lot, been on hobbies a lot. He did a lot of woodworking and welding, and I thought that stuff was really cool, honestly. I always thought it was really cool that he was a handyman, that he could do plumbing and electric work and fix people's railings or build a porch. I always thought that stuff was so cool. And it would have been really cool to learn. He tried to teach me a few things, but he always got so frustrated. There was no point attempting to ask him to teach me things, because when I did, I don't know, it just seemed more like, why doesn't my stupid child get this? And I've always been a little bit slower. I've always struggled a little bit in school, been behind most of my teen years. In elementary school, got honor roll, but it wasn't high honor roll the whole time, so that wasn't good enough. That kind of dampened my spirits. I started getting, instead of A's and B's, it was C's and D's in middle school. Got my first F in 7th grade because of math. I couldn't keep up. I don't know. The teacher that I had, we just didn't mesh well, and she had a quicker teaching method than I was able to follow along with, you know? But my kids aren't retarded. So there was no getting tested for autism or ADHD or any kind of disabilities. My kids aren't retarded. That was his response. Yeah, I guess not. No, that's not a good word to use, sir. But we are a little slower. I'm a little slower, I should say. I don't want to speak for my brother or my siblings, you know. So my grades weren't good enough. The people I hung around weren't good enough, so got grounded a lot. I got into some trouble online when I was 13, shortly after my little brother died, and my parents stopped paying attention to me as much. You know, things started to fall apart. My parents were fighting all the time. I caught my dad kissing my mom's cousin. That, I didn't understand what I was seeing at first. I thought it was funny until I told my grandma, who flipped out and told my mom. I understand now what he was doing. My parents were together and he was kissing on one of her relatives. Kissing, not even just a stranger, kissing on one of her relatives in our house. In a room that I could easily walk into as a 13-year-old, 12, 13, whatever. First time I caught my dad cheating. Second time, I'm not actually sure if they were together. I walked to a friend's house, left my dad at home. I don't know where my brother was. I think he was at a friend's house. But I walked to a friend's house, and I was there and back maybe 10 minutes. And I walk upstairs to knock on my dad's door. And he's got this see-through glass window pane, like on the door, and this very sheer curtain over it. And I can see very clearly he is butt-ass naked, just standing there behind the door, answering me. He's butt naked, and his girlfriend, whatever, friend, was naked on his bed, playing with herself. Naked on my parents' bed. That was mentally scarring. And, I got into some trouble with some boys online, having some conversations. I wasn't a boy, sorry. It was a boy in my class that I liked. You know, I thought that, because I'd had my parents' phones before, just laying on their phone. You know, I was allowed to look through my mom's pictures sometimes, and I'm a little kid. I'm not expecting to find anything nasty when I'm looking through messages. Yeah, I'm a kid. I shouldn't have looked through, but I shouldn't have looked through the messages. You know, and I saw some naughty pictures and some naughty words, and I thought to emulate that. So when I got a tablet, I was doing the same thing, doing similar with a boy in my class that I liked. And because my dad had always gone through my stuff, of course, you know, no privacy, I'm a kid, what's privacy? He found those messages. And he screams at me, threatens to sell my knobby, break it, call the boy's parents and tell him what I did, tell him what he did. He said that he was never gonna be able to get over this, that he was gonna need months and months and months of therapy, maybe even years of therapy, to get over what he had seen in my messages. Meanwhile, at this point, I'd already seen him fully naked 3 times. Shit happens, I guess. You know, the image was burned into my brain for a long time. I never got an apology. I'm sorry you saw that. Nothing, but whatever. I talk about it in therapy now. The therapy that for years and years he refused me. Why would you need therapy? What's wrong? What are you so sad about? What's wrong with you? What could you possibly have to be upset about? I don't know. Maybe because I got sexually abused at 8. My little brother died when I was 12. Saw my dad naked when I was 13. Was absolutely mortified when he told all of his friends, and some of my friends talked about this in front of them, told them, I was a kid, man. Why would you do that to your kid? Embarrass the shit out of him like that. Talk about, yeah, she's sending inappropriate messages and pictures to boys in her class. One boy. And I was emulating you. You know, maybe teach me that wasn't appropriate instead of screaming at me and embarrassing me. And I believe that it's his fault. I believe that it's his fault that his friends started messaging me. He didn't believe me about one. He blamed me when he found evidence for a second one. And a third one he never found out about, because what's the point of telling him anything if he's not going to believe me anyway? He's only going to see it as, I'm the problem. Well, what did you do? What did you say? You can look at the messages. They started messaging me. They got inappropriate with me. They sent me pictures. But instead of reporting them, instead of not being friends with them, he screamed at me. His wife screamed at me. They blamed me. He was telling me, his best friend was telling me that he wanted to marry me. He was having this little girl call me mommy. That's so sick. Because he knew that I wanted to be a mom. He knew that my little brother had passed away, and I missed taking care of him. And he knew that my dad didn't pay attention to me. And he knew that I was scared of him, and I guess hated him, essentially. I was afraid of him, and I didn't like how he treated my mom or my brothers. And at this point, I'd been spanked a lot. Like, I don't know, the earliest that I can remember being spanked is 6 or 7. And I remember because we used to extra pad our underwear, me and my brother. When we knew Dad was angry and he was going to come home and spank us, we knew to put on a couple extra pairs of underwear. And he caught on to this, and he made us pull our underwear down. When I was 13, it's the first time I tried to end my life. My dad spent over an hour interrogating me and spanking me and yelling at me and tearing my bedroom apart, going through all of my things, searching for a phone that I'd stolen from his sister, because I felt alone, because I felt isolated. You know, never being allowed to go anywhere, never having friends over, because it's so fucking embarrassing to be around my dad. It was so embarrassing to be yelled at, you know, to be in the middle of hanging out with a friend and having a good time, to, I hear Dad's car outside, or his motorcycle, or his truck, or whatever the hell he has at the time, to shaking and afraid and unsure what's gonna happen, because I never knew, are you gonna be angry when you get home? Are you gonna scream at me for nothing? Or are you going to come in and call me a turkey or Uber? I never knew what was gonna happen. And it was embarrassing. I didn't know how to explain that to people. Didn't know how to explain, even if I was allowed to have friends over, I wouldn't want friends over.